Welcome to The Explainer. So today we're digging into the news that has absolutely rocked the Premier League. Chelsea and their head coach, Enzo Maresca, are done. And this is just months after he brought major trophies to the club. So what on earth happened? Let's get into it. It all started with this, a really blunt, no-frills official statement. Short, sharp, and it left pretty much everyone with one simple question. Why? And that why is such a huge question because, look, this wasn't a manager who was failing. I mean, in a really short time, he brought home some serious silverware, and maybe most importantly, he got them back into the Champions League. On paper, this was a success story. So yeah, the results on the pitch just don't match up with him being let go. And that tells you the real story isn't about wins and losses. It's about what was going on behind closed doors.
All right, let's pull back the curtain. What were the real fractures behind the scenes that actually led to this pretty shocking split? You know, whenever there's drama at Chelsea, the first place everyone's mind goes is owner interference, right? The idea that they're meddling with the team. But in this case, the sources are telling a very different story. In fact, this whole idea is being described as an urban myth, a total red herring. The leadership team being around was apparently to show support, not to interfere. So yeah, we can probably cross that one off the list. Okay, so if it wasn't the owners, what was it? Well, it looks like it was a combination of things. Sure, there was a little dip in results recently, but the other 2 points, that's where the real story is.
Now, this second point, the disagreements over medical stuff, seems to have been a huge flashpoint. See, at Chelsea, like a lot of modern clubs, the medical department is totally independent. They, and only they, have the final say on when an injured player is ready to go. The head coach doesn't get to overrule them.
And for Maresca, that was the deal breaker. He felt like his authority was just being completely undermined. How can you be the head coach if you don't have the final word on your own players? He believed a red line had been crossed. It was a fundamental clash over who was really in charge. And this whole blow-up over medical authority, it wasn't just some isolated argument. It actually points to something much, much bigger and more systemic at the club. And this right here, this chart gets to the absolute heart of the conflict. Maresca was hired as a head coach. His job was to fit into a system that was already there. He wasn't a traditional manager who gets to build the club around his vision. He was a piece of the puzzle, not the guy putting the whole thing together. And get this, he is not the first one to struggle with this. Not by a long shot. We're seeing a clear pattern emerge. Graham Potter was reportedly unhappy with it. Maurizio Pochettino voiced his frustrations with it, and now Maresca is out the door for the exact same structural reasons. But here's the kicker. Despite all this turnover, all this friction, the ownership is not budging. Their position is crystal clear. The structure is here to stay. The message is simple. The coach adapts to Chelsea. Chelsea does not adapt to the coach.
So, with Maresca out and that rigid structure staying put, the big question is, who on earth is willing and able to step into what has to be one of the hottest seats in all of football?
Well, it turns out the club was prepared. They already had a shortlist vetted. An early favorite seems to be Liam Rosenyor, who coaches Strasbourg, which is a sister club. That would certainly make things convenient. But you have other names in the mix too, like the experienced Oliver Glasner and Marco Silva, and even club legend Cesc Fabregas. And whoever gets the job, wow, they are being thrown right into a baptism of fire. There is no easing in here. They'll have 9 games in just 27 days. That is an absolutely brutal schedule, which means pretty much 0 time on the training pitch to change anything. And the mission for this new coach is crystal clear. The number 1 must-have priority is to finish in the top 5 and lock down that Champions League spot. A deep run in the FA Cup? That'd be a nice bonus. Winning the League Cup? Not even a priority. It is all about the Champions League. So finally, what's next for Maresca? And what does this whole episode really say about Chelsea's turbulent history with its managers? For Enzo Maresca, this is probably just a bump in the road. His style of football is highly rated across Europe, so his stock is still really high. He's represented by super agent Jorge Mendes, and he's already being linked to Juventus. Don't worry, he'll land on his feet. And this is maybe the most important takeaway from all of this. Getting fired from Chelsea doesn't mean you're a bad coach. It's almost expected. For anyone considering that job, they have to know that it really just goes with the territory.
I mean, Maresca is now joining an unbelievable list of world-class managers. We're talking Mourinho, Ancelotti, Conte, Tuchel. All of them won major trophies at Chelsea, and all of them still got a sudden thank you and goodbye. He is in some very, very good company. Which leaves us with this final nagging thought. If all these incredible trophy-winning coaches consistently clash with this rigid structure and end up getting shown the door, is the head coach role at Chelsea actually designed for long-term success? Or has it become an impossible job by its very design?